Working with buyers and sellers in Victoria, BC means I get asked great questions every single day. I'm here to share those answers so you can make more confident real estate decisions and maybe learn some insider tips along the way. If that sounds helpful, hit like and subscribe and let's get started. Hey guys, Sean P here with Remax in Victoria, BC, and here are some of the great questions I'm being asked by buyers and sellers this week. Okay, a very common question this time of year. When does the spring market actually start? Great question. The truth is that our spring market starts well before it's actually considered spring. What we see is that sales typically are going to peak right around April, May, and June. But the reality is that sales start to pick up as early as late January, early February. So if you're a seller, you're usually best off to be at the front end of the curve. That's when you're going to see still lots of buyers still in the market and peaked interest because many of them haven't yet gotten a home. Moving into the remainder of the year, what we see is buyers start to take themselves out of the market through purchasing, and often there will be more and more inventory as sellers catch up with all the work they need to do getting their homes ready for the market. If you're a buyer, you're going to see peak inventory right in that same period, but remember, you're also going to see a lot of competition as that's one of the most active times for people to be shopping. One question I get asked a lot this time of year is, Sean, I have a certain time that I'd like to be in my new home. When should I start the process of listing my current home for sale? And this is a great question because honestly, there's a lot that goes into it. So my best advice is to realize that this is a process, not an event. And so start with your end goal of being there in a certain date and then work backwards towards when you need to start. The reality is most people underestimate how long it's going to take. First of all, the home that you purchase might need 1.5 to 2.5 months to close. That's pretty common. In addition to that, you're going to need time to sell your current home. And even once it's ready to market and show, usually it's going to take anywhere from a couple days to a couple months to get that perfect buyer through who's going to make an offer on it. Before you get to that point, there's often a lot of prep work that you might need to do getting the home show ready. These are all things that add up. And if you hit a delay anywhere, it cascades everywhere else. So start earlier than you might think. And if you're wondering what kind of timeframes to expect, just reach out and I'll help you figure out what to expect with your home. Sellers love to ask the question, Sean, what's the best month of the year to list my home for sale? And great question. The reality is that we do have seasonality most years in our market, and that's going to be where we see a bit of a peak in the spring and a peak in the fall in terms of the number of sales, and often prices going to accompany that as well. So it's fair to assume that you'll probably do pretty well at those times of year. But the reality is we don't have a crystal ball. And especially over the last few years, we've frankly seen a lot of curveballs from the market and national events that have really changed the shape of what our market would have done if left to itself. So you never really know exactly what's coming. What we do know is where the market is right now. So generally speaking, the spring market is a great time to have your home on the market. The fall market is the same, but the reality is I've seen a lot of homes take great prices in the summertime, late in winter. It really just comes down to who else is going to be on the market at the exact same time as you. And that's a question that no one knows until the time that you put your house up for sale. So the best thing you can do is get your home ready and wait for a moment that you think is right for you and the market is doing what you need it to in order to get where you need to go. And from there, the rest of the magic comes down to who walks through that front door. One question I have buyers ask me a lot is, what should I take into consideration when it comes to the timing of my purchase? And this is a great question because we see some seasonality throughout the year. So it's fair to assume you'd be able to get the best deal and the best house when there's, on average, going to be the most homes for sale. And typically we see that in the mid-late spring market. The reality, though, is that just like you, there's a lot of people who wait for that inventory. And so competition tends to come with the boost in sales and the boost in inventory. So my best advice if you're buying is get all of your homework done in advance. So I'm talking about your mortgage brokers, any due diligence you need to do, anything that you need to set in place with family or anyone else you might be purchasing with, and then start the process of shopping. Watch for that perfect home. And that way, when it comes up, regardless of if it's a couple days, a couple weeks, or a couple months, you'll be ready. Beyond that, ultimately, whether or not you could have saved a few bucks or something like that, the most important thing is to get the best house for you. Don't get too fixated on the numbers, because at the end of the day, if you choose something that felt like a good deal but didn't really fit your needs, you're probably gonna end up moving again in a few years anyways, and that's gonna cost you more in the long run. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. If you have a great question you'd like me to cover, please drop it in the comments below. And if you have a question specific to your plans that I might be able to help with, there's a link in the description you can use to book a call with me. I'd love to connect and hear about your plans. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.